Hello there, and welcome back to another video. Today, this is going to be something a little bit different. We're actually going to talk about the Mage Tower and the Beast Mastery Mage Tower, and we're going to go through how I actually did it, and yeah, you can do it. I'm a pretty rubbish player at this game, so yeah, I'm going to tell you how I did it, what mistakes you can make, and stuff like that. Just a kind of casual's point of view of the Beast Mastery Mage Tower Challenge. But before we jump into that, guys, just want to shout out my Twitch, twitch.tv/MrGM. If you want to see me streaming World of Warcraft, patch 9.2 PTR, Mage Tower stuff, any sort of MMO content, I'm over on twitch.tv/MrGM every single day. Okay, so we're going to go through the Beast Mastery Mage Tower in this one. As I said, pretty casual with the game. I'm not good. I literally just started a hunter at the end of BFA, so yeah, I'm not really much of a hunter. And honestly, I've been marksman the entire time as well, so this is kind of my first outing as a Beast Mastery hunter, but I was able to complete the Mage Tower Challenge, and you can too. I'm going to tell you how I did it, how I cheesed it a little bit, and stuff like that. So, let's talk about talents first and foremost. So, talents, I went with this talent build. This is just kind of a standard Beast Mastery talent build. Animal Companion, Sense of Blood, Natural Mending, Thrill of the Hunt, Post Haste, Stomp, and Aspect of the Beast. Post Haste being very handy just for disengaging and running away from certain things in the fight. And yeah, to be honest, as I said, pretty standard talent setup. I just looked up one on Icy Veins and it seemed to work for me, so yeah. As for gear, as I said, I did kind of cheese it a little bit, but it's not 100% necessary to go as hard as I did. I kind of like doing this kind of stuff. I like cheesing, time walking, and scaling in World of Warcraft. I think it's fun for me. But I just went with just some socketed, crafted, Dreadful Gladiators gear. I made it myself, or you could buy it off the auction house and put some sockets in it, just agility sockets and stuff. But as I said, you don't need to do it. But if you do have a Heart of Azeroth on you and you do have the legendary cloak from BFA, they're the two things you're probably going to want, just, you know, as a little boost there. Some pretty good stats on those items. I did also put some enchants on the gear, but as I said, not 100% necessary. Maybe an enchant on your weapon. To be honest, I just used my weapon that I have in Shadowlands, so yeah, it's not that necessary. The biggest thing here is the trinkets. This is where it kind of was make or break for me. I'm using the Ravage Seed Pod. As of the recording of this video, is not been nerfed. This is from the first boss in Emerald Nightmare. You can do this several times. You can do it on Raid Finder, Normal, Heroic, Mythic, 4 attempts, and it has a chance to socket. It didn't socket for me, but I did get it on Mythic, and yeah, so this is going to be very important. This is the one item you're going to need 100% for this fight. Not, well, maybe not 100%, but it definitely helps, and you'll see shortly. The other item I'm using is the Drost Iron Dragonling. This is a item level 54 version from the auction house. Picked this up for about 700 or so gold, and put some sockets in it that were from the auction house as well. So yeah, that's another one. The Ghost Iron Dragonling is very, very good for DPS right now, and the stats are very decent. You got Verse, you got Crit, you got Haste in there. So yeah, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Also for pets, I am using 2 Call Hounds. To be honest, with the pet thing, there was a whole debate in my chat about it. A lot of people saying Spirit Beast because of the extra sustain. But I did find with the Spirit Beast, I was using Men Pet quite a lot to keep them alive. As with the Core Hounds, they actually lost pretty much 0 health the entire fight. I was using Men Pet just for self-sustain, but the actual Core Hounds themselves did not lose any health from any of the bosses. And they are indeed frosty pets, so they do have Predator's Thirst and Primal Rage, which is the heroism, which is very important in the last phase of the fight that you will see in a minute. Also, finally, before we get into it, I did use 3 macros, which helped me a ton. This is not 100% necessary, but it definitely helped me just for targeting and things like that. So essentially, you know, we'll get into the fight in a minute, but a lot of it is interrupting. So what I did was I created some macros. So I had one for counter shot. So essentially what this did, it targeted Tugar and casted counter shot. So essentially, if I was targeting something else, I can instantly press that and it will target him and interrupt him. I also had the exact same macro for Intimidation as well, because you will be using both of these to interrupt Tugar. The other macro I had is for Scare Beast. This one is just a simple Scare Beast macro that will target the worm. He's called Jaw Gun or something like that. I'll put all the macros in the description below so you can just copy and paste them straight in. But yeah, this is the Scare Beast macro as well. So those 3 macros were extremely important for this fight. And yeah, so let's dive into the fight and talk about how and why and, you know, how to do it. Okay, so let's talk about consumables first, like a little bit of prep work just getting into the fight. I just used a Shadowlands flask and embalming oil, which gave me extra leech with the fight, which was a little bit of extra healing, I guess. I didn't really look into the logs too much on the healing, but I presume it helped. I mean, I was able to beat it. For food, I used a cinnamon bonefish stew, which gave me about 18 haste. You know, as I said, not 100% necessary, but if you want to do that extra damage and you want to just get it over quicker, then these things are obviously going to help. And they're not too expensive on the auction house either, so yeah, you may as well pick them up if you fancy it. So the fight begins, and you just kind of stand in a cave. This is kind of your prep time, so you can eat here or whatever. Tugar's going to be standing there, and once you get near him, he's going to run off, and it will start a little bit of an RP bit, and he will stand there ready for you to fight. You don't have to run straight in after you've aggroed him in this like first little cave bit. Now this fight is extremely scripted. There is several events which happen in time, especially at the beginning. So at the beginning of the fight, we'll be using Fellburst. Fellburst is the ability you want to interrupt. That is your priority interrupt. Most of the other interrupts can be missed. It's not going to be dire. Fellburst is number one. So as soon as you see Fellburst, you need to interrupt that as soon as possible using the counter shot macro or the intimidation macro or a freezing trap, which we'll talk about in a minute. So the fight goes on, and then you'll see Sonic Scream. I also recommend using DBM Legion challenges for this. It's going to give you massive notifications on the screen of very important interrupts that you need to do. Now, Sonic Scream is the worm's big move. This is the one that you need to use Scare Beast on. Now, this is super, super tight because it is on a global cooldown. So as soon as you see that Sonic Scream, you need to stop what you're doing and cast Scare Beast. It's super tight. I think Scare Beast is a 1.2 cast, and Sonic Scream is a 3-second cast, but the global cooldown is 1.5, I think, in WoW or something like that. So it's super, super tight. You're not always going to get it. It's not the end of the world if you don't, but with more and more pulls on this, you will understand the timings of the fight, and we'll talk about when he actually does cast this, so you can kind of predict when it's going to happen. You can kind of prepare in advance, but as I said, it's not the end of the world if you do miss it. It does take a chunk of your health, and it does nature lock you for a couple seconds, but as I said, not the end of the world. So that's how the fight begins, and then you need to avoid the stuff on the floor. There's going to be these green swirlies in a cross that you're just going to move out of. Very, very simple, super easy. You don't need to worry about that too much at all. And then, after a couple seconds, after they've done their Sonic Scream and Fellburst, they're going to be doing Earthquake. Now, this is where a bunch of rocks fall from the sky, and a bunch of Bile Spitter eggs will spawn, which will turn into Bile Spitters, which are just like little versions of the worm. Now, this is where you're going to use the Trinket. So once those eggs spawn and the Earthquake is done, you don't want to stand in the Earthquake because it will kill you. You want to run right into the middle of the eggs there and drop the Trinket. And this is going to be an area effect green goo on the floor, which is going to basically kill the eggs. It's not going to kill them completely. On the disc challenge, it does kill them. On this one, it does do a ton of damage, but it doesn't kill them. But it will definitely help with your damage on this phase. Now, what you want to do here is essentially just kind of chill in the middle. The worm is going to be spinning around this area, so you don't want to get hit by him because he will stun you. You want to target the eggs here with Kill Command just to get the pets to run over to it, and then you can just kind of beast cleave them down using multi-shot while obviously targeting Tugar, while also keeping on top of that Fellburst, because Fellburst will go off during this phase as well. So yeah, you just want to kind of stay in the middle there. The worm will also charge, so once he does charge, do move out of the way of that. That's going to run straight in a line towards you, so you just move to the left or right of that. There'll also be swirlies on the floor with stuff falling down, so just avoid that. Very simple mechanic. I think in the 60 pulls that I did, I don't think I died to that once, so yeah, you don't need to worry too much about that. Just very easy to kind of avoid that. The other thing with the worm is that he's also going to have a shield. He's going to have 9 stacks of the shield, and every time he hits one of the rocks in this phase, he loses a shield buff. Now, I've seen in a lot of guides saying, like, stand here, position yourself here, and I'm going to be completely honest, and this is why I kind of wanted to make the guide, because it made me laugh a lot. I did not position myself in any sort of coordinated place. I literally stood wherever I wanted, and naturally, just over time, the worm lost its stacks, because it just ended up running into the rocks, you know, where I was. I didn't position myself anywhere particular, and I didn't worry about that too much. By the time I think Tugar was around about 40% or so, he'd actually lost all of his stacks, and we'll talk about that part in a little bit. But yeah, essentially with this bit, just stay in the middle, avoid the green swirlies, kill the ads, and don't get stunned by the worm who's running around. And of course, keep on top of those Fellbursts with Intimidation and Countershot. Now, once the worm has run around, he will re-emerge. Now, as soon as he re-emerges, as soon as you see him pop up, you need to start casting Scare Beast, because he's going to do a Sonic Scream almost immediately as he comes up. So that's going to be the timings for Sonic Scream. That's the one you're going to hit the easiest because it's so predictable. Now, once the ad phase is done, you're going to go back to Tugar and the worm, and you're just going to be attacking both of them, obviously keeping on top of Fellburst, which you're now going to interrupt with a freezing trap, just so you have Countershot and Intimidation off cooldown for the hectic phase. It's just easier here to interrupt with freezing trap because you have so much space and there's not many ads around. You're also going to get something called a Fell Surge Totem. This is also a priority kill, because what's going to happen once that gets off its cast, it's going to stun you for a couple seconds, and that sucks. It sucks a lot. So as soon as you see that Fell Surge totem, as soon as you see that DBM notification, you want to attack the Fell Surge totem. It can be multi-shot down. Most of the time it spawns around the ads or during an ad phase. You're just going to hit it. It's pretty easy. So yeah, just keep on top of the Fell Surge. Not too much of an issue. You can let it get off. It will stun you. Not going to be the end of the world. Not going to be a wipe. But yeah, just keep an eye on it and make sure you get it. The cast is kind of long as well, so you have a little bit of time, but not too much time, so don't get overexcited about the Fell Surge Totem. So this phase, pretty simple, as I said. Just, you know, keep on top of Fell Burst with the trap, because, as I said, you want to keep those interrupts available for the hectic phase with the ads. Most of the time, actually, after a Fell Burst, he will do Sonic Scream, so just keep an eye on the DBM notifications, and yeah, you're then going to get ads again, and it's rinse and repeat at this point. You go in the middle, you drop your trinket, you kill the ads, you do cleave on Tugar, you don't get stunned, and he loses stacks of his shield, and you just get interrupt Fellburst with counter shot and intimidation, and that's essentially the fight. It's very scripted. As I said, it took me about 60 pulls because it's just repetitive. You know, you just keep doing it and bashing your head against it and bashing your head against it, and eventually you will get it done. Now, there is mistakes that can be made, and there is parts where it will definitely fall apart very, very quickly, but you can recover. You can definitely recover from this. One thing I did was keep Men Pet on cooldown. That helped me quite a bit. It healed me quite a bit as well. But your pets can die. You know, it's not the end of the world if your pet dies. Just shield, turtle, and revive. Now, he is immune to Feign Death, and he is immune to Taunt, so it does get a little bit hairy. You want to misdirect that. You want to make sure that he's going to get some aggro. You just run away. Just run away as fast as you can and wait for your pet to get aggro again. Yeah, that's where it can really fall apart. But you can recover from that. It's not the end of the world. If your pet dies, you just want to get back up and revive pet as soon as possible. Keep an eye on those interrupts. And that's essentially what you want to do until around 40 or 50% on Tugar. You want to keep an eye on those stacks on the Worm, because as soon as he goes to 0 stacks, he's going to be pretty easy to kill. He only has around 66,000 health. He dies very, very quickly, as Tugar has around 270,000, so super easy to kill the Worm. Now, once he loses all those stacks, he's going to take normal damage. He's not going to have damage reduction. You can now start beast cleaving. You want to get the Worm kind of down to around 50 or 60 or 70% by the time Tugar dies, because what happens is once Tugar dies, the Worm does Enrage, and that's going to do a ton of damage. Now, the chat really worried me about this phase. They were like, oh man, you're going to die, it's going to be horrible, you know, you're going to get Tugar down, it's going to be a good moment, but then you're going to die straight after. Didn't really happen. I got Tugar down, I think it was the second time I'd ever done it, and yeah, it was pretty simple. At that phase, once it's just the Worm, you want to just keep on top of those Sonic Screams, you want to pop Hero as soon as possible. One mistake I did make on one pull is that I kept ads up, because you can get a bit of a crossover there. So make sure before you kill Tugar, make sure all the ads are down, make sure you're in a good phase, because it's going to phase straight away. Doesn't matter what phase you're in, if you're in a phase with a bunch of ads, it's going to phase straight into the Enrage phase, and it's not going to be good, because those ads will also hit you for a ton of damage. Yeah, so make sure the ads are down, make sure you're in a clean phase, make sure you're in a good bit to take down Tugar. But yeah, it goes down pretty quickly. It's quite a fast fight. It's not the longest slog in the world. It's not like some of the other fights where it's a lot of RP or anything like that. You could kind of jump back in very quickly. If it does fall apart, I do recommend just leaving group instead of dying, because then you get to keep your well-fed buff and obviously your durability and stuff like that. But yeah, essentially rinse and repeat. Keep an eye on the interrupts. That's the most important part of this fight. You know, Fell Burst is number 1. Fell Surge, number 2, and Sonic Scream is number 3. Yeah, so if you, as I said, you can make mistakes. That's what I want to reiterate. Mistakes can be made. You know, it's not the end of the world if you do get some of these things off. Fell Burst, if you're wondering, if it does get off, is just going to one-shot your pet. That's what I mean by pet dying. It's going to one-shot your pet. You can't avoid it. That's what's going to happen. That's why you need to keep it interrupted. But, you know, you can let the pet die. It's not the end of the world. You know, you can recover. I had a few runs where I thought it was over, and it ended up being a pretty good pull. But in fact, the kill that I actually got was pretty messy. I got stunned, I got hit, I stood in stuff, and still got it done. So it's doable, and that's the most important part. So yeah, that's basically it, guys. That's how I did it. That's how a casual, very bad hunter managed to kill Tugar and the Worm on the Mage Tower Challenge and get the transmog, which it's a moderate transmog. It's alright, I guess, but pretty happy with myself with that. So guys, let me know if you have any other advice for anyone. If I missed anything specifically, as I said, I'm just kind of like going off of memory here on this fight. But yeah, if you have any other like kind of big life hacks for this fight or any other advice, please let me know in the comment section below. I'm sure it'll be very helpful for a lot of people for sure. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to start on the warrior one now. I don't know if I'm going to actually get it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Could be fun. Could be fun. But guys, thank you very much for watching. Before I go, I'd like to give a massive shout out to my amazing patrons, YouTube channel members, and Twitch subs. You guys are awesome. And if you'd like to support the channel in any of those ways, links are down below. So leave a like on this video, guys, if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't. I've also got a partner Discord channel with over 3,000 members. And as I said, I'm now streaming on twitch.tv/MrGM. If you want to see me streaming World of Warcraft, patch 9.2 PTR, this is the Mage Tower. We did the Mage Tower stuff. It was an intense stream. Also, any other MMO content, I'm over on twitch.tv/MrGM every single day. And with that, guys, I'll see you next time.